Kickboxer. This for me is Van Damme's best movie. Definitely his best movie. A lot of people say Bloodsport, and a lot of people love Bloodsport, and it's a great movie, but for me, it's Kickboxer. I just love the story of the two brothers. You know, one's a world champion, really cocky in kickboxing. He thinks he's the greatest. He wants to keep proving himself to be the greatest. And his brother, his younger brother, who's really humble, always helping him out, you know, who's kind of his student a little bit in kickboxing, and then going to Thailand, the land of kickboxing, Muay Thai kickboxing, Muay Thai and Muay Boran, you know, and he really underestimating the Thais, he really underestimating the champions, he really underestimating the way that they fight out there, their mentality. It's just completely different. And you see Van Damme's character, his brother understands that, you know, he understands that. He's more observing. He's like observing the fact that, hey, they fight differently over here. He even wants to cancel the fight when he sees Tong Po after he's kicking the poles, you know, he's kicking the concrete slab, you know, he's just kneeing it, and it's falling down. And he's like, this guy was kicking one of these concrete slabs, bam, and the thing was falling down, and he's like, so what? Is he as fast as me? We got this. So the guy's really cocky, he's really arrogant. But you see, what I love about this is you see that Van Damme's brother Eric, in this movie, you see the reason why he's like this, because they talk about, there's a point when they're in Thailand on the beach before they start training, and they talk about how Van Damme's character grew up with his mother, and Eric, he grew up with his father, and the father was really hard on him. He said if he wasn't good at any sport, like, he would always say, you suck, you know. So he had that kind of wanting to prove that he's the best because of the wanting to seek the approval of his father, who was really hard on him. So whereas Van Damme, he grew up a bit more with his mother, who was a bit, you know, more gentle, a bit more soft to him, you know, he allowed him to do karate and ballet and stuff like that. So they had the different upbringing, even though they're brothers. One was brought up by the mother, one was brought up by the father. So you see the difference in Eric and how he's very driven because of that approval seeking that he wanted from his father, and that blindly leads him into this fight with Tong Po, who ends up obviously crippling him, and he ends up in a wheelchair. So Van Damme now comes into the scene wanting revenge for his brother, and then he seeks out Muay Thai trainers in Thailand to train him so he's able to beat Tong Po. So he's very much like, oh, I want to beat Tong Po, but he's not good enough to do it, you know. And you've got like the other guy, the black guy, who's the Vietnam vet in Thailand, who kind of helps him out, and he's like, you're not good enough, and you can't go after him outside the ring because he's too valuable to them, meaning like the Thai gangsters that are kind of in charge of Tong Po's career. So he ends up seeing the guy's determination. He sees Van Damme's determination, and he leads him to Xian, who's the teacher of Van Damme in this movie. And then it's the old school martial arts scene of training in the woods, you know, training in the nature, and having that old school teacher train him in these old school styles, you know, and he's having to run in the woods, you know, the dog chasing him with the meat on his thigh. He's like, oh, this will make run faster. Oh, how? And then the dog chasing him with the meat and little things like that. And just the training scenes are fantastic. Like, it's crazy. Van Damme, they always see in Van Damme movies him doing the splits, or a scene where he's having to his legs are being pulled apart, so he's doing these power stretching techniques. This is something that I did in my martial arts training in China, when I trained in China with the Shaolin monks. Every Friday we did what we call power stretching, where we would do this kind of training, and your legs would literally be forced apart, and it was so painful. It was like for 30 seconds you'd have to hold this pose where like your kung fu teacher's like holding your leg and pulling it down, someone else is holding the other leg, and you're like literally being forced to do the splits, and you're in so much pain for like 30 seconds. But then afterwards you're able to kick really high and it improves your flexibility. But it was really painful stretching techniques that those old school trainers do, and it's great to see it in this movie. But my favorite scene in this movie comes halfway in between in the training, and it's a great point in the training. And he's kicking the tree, because you see earlier when he's kicking the banana tree and he's not able to kick it down, and he's like, obviously he's got a lot of pain. So Shen says to him, kick the tree. And he's like giving up. He's like, oh, I've had enough. And he's like, kick the tree. So Van Damme's face, you see him like, whoa, and then he kicks it and he's like, no. And he's like, take your bag and leave my house. And he's looking at the girl and he's like, why? He's like, you don't want training. He's like, you want me to break my leg? And then he goes to the girl who, his niece, he goes like that. He goes, your brother, remember? And then, because at the beginning, he was pursuing, it's a typical old school martial art kind of thing where the student seeks the master and the master kind of denies him, and he's like, I don't know who you are, maybe train next year. And he goes, no, I must train now. And he goes, why? He's like, my brother, remember? Because he says, why do you want me to train you? And he says, Tong Po, my brother came to fight Tong Po and got hurt really badly, you know, because he says, oh, I heard about American fighters before. American fighter here came and lost very badly, and he's like, that was my brother, and now he's in a wheelchair, now he can't walk. So Tien was finding the motivation in him, why he's doing what he's doing, and that's again, it's a powerful life lesson. It's why you're doing what you're doing will get you through all the hardships. So when he's kicking the tree and he says, leave my house, and then he's like, what, you want me to break my leg? And he's like, your brother, remember? And then you see the flashbacks of the moment in the fight where Tong Po elbows his brother in the back and paralyzes him. And he's like, you want this? How about this? And he starts kicking the tree. And then Xian's looking at the tree and it's shaking. And he just kicks that tree down. He's like, this! And he uses all his rage, his anger, his controlled aggression in that tree. And he kicks the tree like he's supposed to kick the tree. Completely forgets the pain. Tree comes down, then he's in pain. And then Xian kind of looks up in a little bit of pride, like, good, you know. And that was like the turning point of the movie, and you see Van Damme's training really up in the montages, and it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it's such a great movie. Again, you got the Tong Po character, who's this unbeatable, big, ferocious Muay Thai fighter who just seems undefeatable, and you got Van Damme coming in and fighting in the old school ways, because when they come and they say, they initiate the challenge and they say that we all fight in the old ways. So your hands wrapped in glue and glass, and you fight in the ancient kind of temple. So you're fighting in like the old Muay Baran way. So that was really good. The fight sequence at the end was really cool. One thing I'd say about the fighting in this movie, I mean, you do see Muay Thai being performed. You see Muay Thai at the beginning. You see Muay Thai, some of the training scenes in Thailand when Van Damme's looking around, you see Muay Thai. But you don't really see Van Damme himself doing Muay Thai. It's more like he's just doing kickboxing. So he does his famous roundhouse kicks and all that kind of stuff, and you know, spinning hook back kicks and all this kind of stuff. But you don't really see him performing like Muay Thai, the elbows and, you know, the knees and teeps, you know, leg kick. He doesn't really perform those kind of movements in the fight sequences in this movie. So it seemed more like he was just doing kickboxing. That's one thing, that's one kind of the gripe I have about the movie. It wasn't necessarily authentic to Muay Thai for Van Damme's character, but I thought that was fine. I mean, the film itself, I absolutely love it. Classic with the 80s soundtrack as well. You got that famous scene where Van Damme's doing the dance, the drunken Van Damme dance in the bar when when Tien takes him to the bar and he gets him drunk on those strong shots so that the guys could attack him, and then he tells them he's saying mean things about them so that they could attack him, just for him to have some good training. But it also served as like a demonstration to the gang leaders that he's good enough to beat Tong Po. It's like, oh, this brother's different. He trained under me. And as you see, he made a fool out of your young fighters in the bar. But Van Damme didn't know that, so he was there to pick the fight for him. So that was a great scene. And yeah, just the movie is fantastic. It brings up a lot of nostalgic feelings for me. I love the movie. I like this. I love this story about going to this foreign land and learning this martial art and becoming great at it and defeating their champion. That was just a great story, you know, and getting revenge for his brother, you know. And yeah, it's a great movie, absolutely fantastic. And again, while he was at it, he was helping injustice from what the gangs were doing. So like when he meets Tien's niece, she's a store owner, and her store is being exploited by these gang leaders. They come in and they're taking her money, and she's like, "No, it's okay. Don't let them take the money." And Van Damme's like, "No, it's not okay," and he ends up beating them up, you know. And then when she tells Uncle, she's like, "I'm gonna tell Uncle Sien about this." And she tells Uncle Sien, he's happy. He's like, "This is something I've wanted to do for you for a long time, but if I do it, you get in trouble. But American can get away with it, so it's good," you know. So I love his enthusiasm. It's really good. Again, the old man teaching the young guy his knowledge, you know, and the young guy being hungry for knowledge because he's motivated by an end goal. So it's a great story, great themes. Love this movie. Definitely worth checking out. Definitely worth being on your top films of martial arts movies that you must watch. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, share, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you love about Kickboxer. Do you think this is Van Damme's movie, or best movie, should I say? Or do you prefer Kickboxer? Or should I say, do you prefer Bloodsport? See, I'm putting Kickboxer in your head because I love Kickboxer. For me, it's Kickboxer. For you, maybe it's Bloodsport or another movie. But let me know in the comment section below what your favorite Van Damme movie is. I'd love to know your thoughts. Anyway, I'll see you next time for another video. Remember, behind every fight is a great story. Peace.